when you see Brock Purdy, do you say, well, he sort of sucked the whole game, or do you give him credit for coming through when it mattered?
I'm so glad you said that, because that is the odd mixed narrative. And I took a couple screenshots of people on social media.
Well, please do, but people also need to keep in mind that weather conditions played a part. There's no doubt about it. The announcers were talking about it, and you saw it. He kept wiping his hand, and that goes both ways. I get it, but it definitely affected Purdy. The weather, the rain, the slippery ball definitely affected him. So you got to keep that in mind when it comes to the criticism.
Dude, Brock Purdy, you got to adjust, right? I mean, wet field, wet ball, and I already looked at the weather forecast this weekend in where do they play? Santa Clara.
Yeah.
Clear.
Oh, okay. See?
So,
good.
Thank God. But the narratives you're seeing are like, for instance, here's one. Watching this game with Allen and Mahomes and then seeing Lamar yesterday makes me think, how does Brock Purdy beat any of these dudes? That's from Ryan Clark. And then Richard Sherman writes, I don't know how we hold a second-year quarterback who's gone to the NFC Championship the 2 years he's been there to the same standard as elite quarterbacks, but gets none of the credit for being 3-1 in the playoffs. So what's the narrative? Is the narrative, because here's the thing, Brock Purdy stunk it up for 3 quarters. I could count about 5 to 10 balls that almost seemed like he usually is pinpoint accurate, just missed the passes.
But came through when they needed it.
But what was Brock Purdy's biggest criticism all year? Well, until I see him come back when it matters. Well, what did he do?
Came back when it mattered.
When it mattered the most. So, Danny G, is your narrative of Brock Purdy like, oh, there it is. He actually played clutch when it mattered?
I'm going option B on that. I think it was a tough game for everybody.
Do you look at it like, wow, Brock Purdy did put together a drive when it mattered, or you look at it the first 3 quarters he stunk?
It was interesting because early on he had that glove on.
And off.
And and he had trouble controlling his passes and then quickly got rid of that glove and then he was accurate. That last drive proved a lot. I mean, we've been saying it all season that even when the Niners were in that little losing stretch, that little slump they had, he still drove the team down the field, got him in field goal range to win a couple of those games. And, even when people were most negative about him, we were like, pump your brakes a little bit. This dude is still a really young guy.
Yeah, 252 yards, 1 tutty, no INTs. Jordan Love.
I mean, it should have been 1 or 2 INTs through the hands of some Packers, but that doesn't count. You miss it. It's,
Jordan Love threw 2 interceptions, and again, that was the difference because they win 24-21. What were your observations from that game?
I think I speak on behalf of all Niners fans, and I say that genuinely. I think I do speak on behalf of every single Niners fan by saying that was the most uneasy game because there was no point in that game where you felt good. Like, it was one of those, for most of that game until the last minute when McCaffrey punched it in, you really felt like we're going to lose this game.
There was a lot of similarities between the Texans and Baltimore game and Packers 49ers because you had 2 young teams really bring it, at least the first half. And then the second half told a different story with the Ravens. I was wondering, are the 49ers, are they going to put it away the second half? But they still kept it close, man.
Yeah.
So, some really, really great games. Your thoughts, your observations.
And Cove, really quick on the other side of that, I was really upset that Jordan Love forced that last pass. It was almost like a desperation throw, but there was still enough time
Same in
on the
Tampa
clock.
Bay.
Same thing with Baker, yeah.
Yep, I thought the same thing. For both guys who fought so hard all season, you don't want to see it end that way. But the silver lining for both Green Bay and Tampa Bay is that they both found their quarterback. Regardless of how it ended, they both played tough. But that was sad to see. I was sad to see that.
Well,
for
Tampa
needs
to show Baker the money.
I know.
I tell you, that was one of my things that made me go, one of my observations. I think it's pretty cool that Baker Mayfield proved I should be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think he proved that this weekend where there was the doubt. Listen, he had a weird path here.
He fights, man.
But I think it's very clear. Yeah, maybe not everyone, listen, we assume that everyone's got to win all the time. Like, I'm talking like the championship, the Super Bowl, the World Series, the NBA title. There's only one winner a year. And that's something we always, not that we forget, but that means everyone except one guy has some work to do. So unless you got Tom Brady or Mahomes now.
He said that. Did he say that at the press conference, or did Josh Allen say that?
Maybe Josh did.
It was Josh Allen. Like, hey, look, there's only one quarterback that's celebrating at the end. So no matter how far any of these teams go, if they don't win, then they have to live with that on the offseason.
We're talking about 4 teams that are left. Guess what? Lamar or Mahomes is going to be crying in a week.
Only one quarterback out of all of them.
The Niners are going to be crying, or Detroit's going to be like, our story's done. It ends for everyone except one team, one quarterback. So when people also talk about, like, is Josh Allen done? Josh Allen done? His guy missed a field goal.
He balled, man.
He balled. Did. I mean, Josh Allen's far from done. But again, Drew Brees won Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers won Super Bowl. Guys like Marino when we were kids, no Super Bowls. Bernie Kosar. There were guys that were, guys that brought their team into the playoffs all the time, but never went. Phillip Rivers, no Super Bowls. Jim Kelly. We forget that we're so tough on the idea that if you don't win, like, you suck.
No,
you don't suck.
real.
It just won. Right?
So your observations, 877-99 on Fox. The analogy on the phones. Lorena's here. Dan Beyer, Spot.
The analogy applies. The analogy applies tonight. I know you're going to start watching the new season of The Bachelor.
I'll be watching.
There's only one girl that's going to get him.
Only one.
The other ones are going to go home crying.
So again,
look at it that way. Every girl tonight, every hot girl that comes out of the limo and does some awkward, like, "Hi, I'm Jessica," and gives them like a little pendant or something.
Yeah, they're all great.
Some
may go far.
They're all hot. They're all sweet. Some of them are going to go home tonight. Only one of them is going to end up with this dude. And all the other ones, no matter how far they go, hometown dates, all this crap, they're all going to cry except one. And you can say the same about NFL quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Without analyzing the game even yet, your first instinct, who's going to be crying next week? Come on, first thought.
I think Mahomes.
He's crying?
He's crying.
It's over? Taylor Swift?
You know what? I don't know.
Taylor Swift crying in the booth?
I got to really think about this, man.
Okay,
I don't know.
All right.
To me, I'm torn on that one because I did feel the magic again. Well, and that's why I changed my answer. I said I thought the Chiefs were going to win, and they did. All right, so let's go to the phones.
Like, does Josh Allen
sit out to you?
Does Josh Allen suck because he can't beat Mahomes? Mahomes, arguably a generational quarterback that, like, this.
Allen doesn't suck. Tyler Bass sucks. No, I'm just kidding. That's the other observation. Again, the fact that 2 games came down to the kicker. The Packers got to be saying, yeah, if we're praying every time this guy goes out there, and that was the quote, yeah, we're praying every time Anders Carlson goes out there because he's had such a tough rookie season. He missed a 41-yard must-have kick. If you're praying every time he goes out there, you need a new kicker. I'm sorry. And that's a pressure-filled situation. It's not easy. I can't do it. But that's why they get paid the big bucks. No one forced them to do it. And then, of course, Tyler Bass giving everybody Scott Norwood deja vu, missing a 44-yard field goal.
That was another observation. Things that made me go,
Things that make you go.
Wide right again.
The words wide right. Oh, like if I was a Buffalo kicker, I would, if I'm going to shank, I'm like, let me shank it left. Just so wide right. Oh, painful, brutal.
It was brutal.
And to add insult to injury, he sat down on the bench and one of the helmet heaters was blocking out the B, so it looked like it was just ass.
It said ass jersey. Tyler Ass.
Ass.
And that went viral, too. Tyler Ass.
He turned off his Instagram.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah,
and you know what?
Yeah,
And I feel, look, these are young men we're talking about. And they put themselves to be the hero or the zero, as corny as that sounds, but it's true. But he was hard on himself, and you could see why. It's tough. Can you imagine coming down to you? You could be the greatest guy in the world. Hey, Scott Norwood could have been the greatest guy in Buffalo, but instead, no.
Nope.
And the same thing happened again to this dude. It's so tough, but that's sports. So tough to see. And you know what made me say, And that's what makes him a great leader, and that's why he's still your quarterback, and he's still one of the best. Not your quarterback, Buffalo's quarterback, Josh Allen. He was one of the first guys to console him. So he may have to turn off his social media, but Josh Allen had his back. His team has his back. That's football. It's how it is sometimes. 2 big games came down to that.
So many more observations. Danny, who do we got on the phones? Let me link this up. Who do we got?
Let's start with John in Chico, California.
Yo, what's up, John? You're on with Covino and Rich. Your observations. What made you go, divisional weekend?
Well, I'll tell you, Rich, you talk about 49ers fan. I've been a 49ers fan since way before that, and and I struggled with it all the way up from the Brody years and all that crud. And I tell you, until 1980, 81, when they won the Super Bowl, and we got to a point where we start to expect it. Well, yesterday, my friends and family know to stay away from me on the 49ers games unless they're jump out to an early lead. And that was not the case yesterday. And I get a feeling sometimes you just know that they're going to lose. You just see it. I felt that way halfway through the first quarter. I was a wreck. I was over at my sister's house. And
so you agree with me? You agree with me that was one of the least enjoyable wins in the last decade or so for the Niners?
I thought they were going to blow it. Dude, I thought they were going to blow it too.
I can't describe. You know what I did, John? To be honest with you, I never do this. I DVR'd the game on NFL Network because I want to rewatch it, knowing that they win. That way I can sort of skim through it and be like, all right, what did I not enjoy the first time around?
It was a nail biter, dude.
It was stressful.
Do you feel like your favorite team earned that victory?
I mean, you can say
they both missed key field goals.
Well, you got to look at it this way. People will be like, they didn't win. The Packers lost. It doesn't matter. A W is a W, right? You move on. Like, very quickly, that game will be forgotten in the, what do they say, the annals of NFL history? That's a weird word for it, but yes, they say that. Dan Byer, what's up, man?
Is there any sense in your mind as a 49ers fan, as you said it wasn't enjoying, that, because it wasn't just Brock Purdy, it's also that defense that you wonder,
why are they not getting to Jordan Love?
Yes,
one sack, right?
And Debo got hurt, and you didn't know the severity of that.
Yeah, like, I mean, are you concerned as a whole, or are you just like...
you know what I'm thinking? I'm attributing... And again, Dan Byer, no excuses. So when I say this,
sure,
I'm not like making excuses, but it was very clear to me who watches the Niners every minute, every week. Brock Purdy, you could say he lacks a lot of things. Accuracy is his strength. He was so uneasy with that rain and the wet ball. Like, it was so blatantly clear to a Niners fan, like, yo, he's off. What the heck? What is going on here? I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about Debo, who, by the way, I'm sure you'll tell us in our update, saying he's 50-50. He's saying he's okay. Team saying 50-50
Did
chance.
Get good news today. No fracture in the shoulder. So
Debo's a big one. And I said that on Friday's show. If you remember, Danny, I said, my nightmare is that the Packers could get some momentum if the Niners have a key player go down. And I was like, oh, no, I called this.
You know what surprised my family? My brother brought it up, that how Aaron Jones was ripping off those big runs. First thing he told me was like, man, what is up with this Niners defense? I thought they were better against the run.
I mean, I know I'm saying something obvious, but next week against the Lions, you're either going to see a really competitive game, and maybe the Lions take it. But I wouldn't be surprised either if the Niners are back. Like, they had 3 weeks where a lot of these guys didn't play. We talked about the rust, right?
I think Debo's going to be a huge factor. You know, how healthy he is, how much he plays.
I'm stressed out.
You can see they're not the same team when he's not in. You saw it yesterday. So it was a stressful game regardless. So I know exactly maybe I can't even imagine how you felt, because I was stressed out watching that.
We're going to talk about all 4 of the games. We'll start talking about this week's championships. But I do want to hear your thoughts on Purdy. Sucked or finally proved himself? Like, if the narrative all year was, we've never seen him come from behind. Well, guess what? They were down when he needed a touchdown to win the game. What did he do? He led the team on a drive down the field, ate up 5 minutes of the clock, left Green Bay with nothing. That was what he needed to do. Convert some big third downs. I don't know. I think that
he did what Baker and Love couldn't do over the weekend.
Yeah, you know what? I'll be honest. At the end, when the Packers had a minute 7, I was telling all my friends at my house, I was like, yeah, we're going to overtime. I feel like the Niners defense wasn't stopping that offense.
Yeah, you know what, Danny G? That's a really great point. He did exactly what those guys couldn't do, and we're still praising them. That proves right there how hard we are in Brock Purdy.
But that gives him a pass, though, because I thought Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield were pretty darn good up until that point.
Agreed. So, but what's the narrative with them? Like, what a tough way to end it. But, hey, they found their quarterback. Great job. No one expected him to go that far. This guy actually did it, and we're still critical of him.
You think he would have got murdered yesterday and today, Purdy, had he fell on his face in that last drive?
Definitely.
Yeah, Jordan Love, I'll tell you, that was he had one moment where he looked like a rookie quarterback. Well, not a first-year full-time quarterback, where he looked it, and that was no wide receivers open, first down, instead of just throwing the ball away and saying, all right, 2nd and 10, forcing a ball. If Greenlaw didn't intercept it, I feel like Fred Warner was right behind them to intercept it too.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's like,
I thought Gary Plummer was there to intercept it.
I think Merton Hanks was somewhere around ready to do his little neck shimmy. So